Now, the UK's top civil servant, who also advises Boris Johnson on national security matters, is stepping down. Sir Mark Sedwill is leaving in September in what's being seen as a big shake-up of the civil service. More on that in a moment, but first, the Prime Minister says the UK will build its way out of the economic crisis caused by the coronavirus pandemic, with infrastructure projects for schools, hospitals and transport. He's to give a speech outlining his plans on Tuesday, as Jessica Parker reports.
Fighting fit, Boris Johnson doing press-ups, as he also tries to get the economy into shape. Speaking to the Mail on Sunday about coronavirus, he said, "This has been a huge, huge shock to the country, but we're going to bounce back very well. We want to build our way back to health." And to do it, harking back to some familiar themes.
We are going to unite and level up.
Again, the idea of levelling up, tackling inequality, with a promise of new schools, hospitals and transport schemes. Ministers are trying to motor the economy along. Hospitality opening up next weekend in England.
There's been a great deal of work across government in terms of investing in the hospitality sector, so pubs, restaurants, bars. To get them reopened, it's all part of the roadmap that the government has outlined.
As lockdowns eased, Boris Johnson, it seems, is trying to get his political agenda back on track. A big speech this week, a new task force called Project Speed to deliver on infrastructure projects, a bid to revitalise the economy. And after a challenging few months, where Downing Street has at times been on the back foot, perhaps a bid to revitalise his administration as well. But Labour says some businesses will need more support, warning without it, unemployment could reach levels not seen since the 1980s.
The Prime Minister, he's very good at words. He's very good at the big, grand promises. The world-beating test and trace system that was going to be in place by June the 1st. All of the other promises he's made. The problem is there is a grand canyon between his rhetoric and the reality.
Big projects mean big money. And so, an economist says, more borrowing.
The absolute priority is to support the economy and ensure that it starts growing properly again. Where they're going to get worried is if in 3 or 4 years' time we're still borrowing very large amounts. At that point, they're going to have to rein in the spending or increase the taxes to bring it under control.
Chancellor, if you'd be happy to sit here.
Supporting the economy through COVID has already cost billions.
I think we ordered 4 of everything on your menu.
Boris Johnson and his Chancellor don't appear afraid of big numbers. But ordering something
Marinara, margarita.
can be easier than making it happen.
Well, let's get more on the UK's top civil servant and national security advisor, Sir Mark Sedwill, who's about to step down. Let's rejoin Jessica Parker at Westminster. Jessica, what's behind all this?
Yeah, one man goes, what does it all mean? Well, it will fuel this idea that Downing Street is determined to shake up Whitehall. Everything from how decisions are made to the kind of people who are recruited to make them. And people don't get much more important around here than Sir Mark Sedwill, the UK's top civil servant, the man who literally sits alongside Boris Johnson at the cabinet table. Now, he was recruited by Theresa May. He'll stay in post until late September before he moves into another role. But there's been a lot of speculation about his position, and the way the story spilled out, it has been criticised by the union that represents senior civil servants. They say Sir Mark's been undermined. They've described the situation as corrosive. Now, Sir Mark Sedwill has another role, National Security Advisor. He's going to be replaced in that by a man called David Frost. You might know that name. He's the UK's chief negotiator with the EU on trade talks. But look, whether it's a Whitehall shake-up or big spending on big infrastructure projects, these ideas predate the pandemic, but they seem to be regarded with renewed importance by Number 10 going forward. But look, big ideas, relatively easy to talk about, a little harder to make them a success.
OK, Jessica, thank you. Jessica Parker there at Westminster.